Read 1,000 books and your words will flow like a river. जय हिंद, आप सभी को मेरा नमस्कार. On my YouTube channel, I promote communication skill, and when I interact with students, professionals and other people, I suggest them different activities which may help them improve their communication skill. And there are many activities which are already available on my channel. But of different activities, there is one way, one idea, one tip which is certainly going to help to improve your communication skill is reading books. So today I am going to share with you a book and different chapters which are contained in the book. Now the book which I have chosen, I think this book is widely read by lakhs and crore of people, I would say. This book is taught and prescribed in class 12th in CBSE board. The name of the book is VISTAS. Now why do I choose this book to discuss with you? Because since this book is prescribed in class 12th and this book hasn't changed over for 2 decades. So that means students who are in the age group from 15 till 35, 40, they have read this book. And by profession, being a teacher of English, what I have observed that even students, they do not read even the thin book, which is really thin and the minimum number of stories are there into it. So they do not read even those books. So how it is that one will have a good communication skill? The purpose of choosing this book, I have already said, it's widely read, it's known to a large number of people in a country, and this is also going to help those students who are going to appear for the board exams. And this is not just for the board children, it is for everybody. Everybody, you start with this book, this is known to you, you have read this book. But since when you were students, you have not read this book very minutely, so once again take hold of this book and start reading it, and it will certainly help you take your communication skill to a next level. And storytelling, I prefer, one is reading books and the other is the art of storytelling. If you have mastered yourself in the art of storytelling, if you can narrate to some people standing publicly a story, that means you are a good communicator, you are a good public speaker. Today the book is VISTAS and there are 8 chapters in it. Today I will very briefly discuss the chapter and then individually I will take the chapters. So the first story in this book is The Third Level by Jack Finney. In this book, students find it really tough to understand, but then the theme of the chapter is quite relatable with the modern life. Third level, actually the third level refers to, there is a railway station, Grand Central Railway Station, New York, the stories of America. New York, there is a station, Grand Central Railway Station. First let us understand the title, the story. The title is Third Level. What does this third level refer to? Third level refers to the railway station, Grand Central Railway Station in New York. In reality, in fact, there are just 2 levels in this railway station, Grand Central Railway Station. But the title is Third Level. Means the story is something which does not exist in reality. It's in virtual world. And really it is very interesting. Now why it is and how it is something that the story is about which does not exist in reality. The main character of the story is Charlie. He is a commuter, and this is a common features which many people across the country, across the world, they can relate. It's very relatable in the modern time. The modern time is full of insecurity, and the modern world is full of fear, insecurity, frustration, anxiety, competition, war. Because of all these things, the modern man is so much insecure in their life. they are full of stress, they are depressed, and to come out of this situation, they create, they build, they make a world for themselves which does not exist in reality, and going there somehow they get some kind of relief. The story is about this. Briefly, I would explain the story. And Charlie, one day he got late from his office, and then he decided that he would take a train and then he would reach home. So when he came to Grand Central Railway Station, which has in fact 2 levels only, suddenly he came to the second level, and from there he got lost. And then he entered an arched doorways that led to some subways, and from there he is lost. And on that day, the railway station appeared like a tree, sending forth, giving out new branches and new offshoots, and it was equal to the stairs and corridors. So the Grand Central Railway Station appeared to Charlie like a tree. Finally, he is taken to a third level. Third level thing does not exist, but he finds himself in the third level. So the story is, travel back in time, and when he reaches in third level, he finds that that third level is somewhere 100 years back in the history. Everything is quite different there. The people, their dress up, the infrastructure of the third level, the rooms were very small, the ticket windows were very fewer, and how it was illuminated, the lighting was done with the open flame gas light. There was brass spittoons, and a hawker was selling newspaper. When he read it, the name of the newspaper was The World, and there was a story given about American President Cleveland. That was year 11th June 1894, 100 years back. He goes to take 2 tickets, but then the currency which he offers to the person sitting at the counter, he refused to take the currency because the person is 100 years back. It is 100 years back he went, and Charlie is having the modern currency. So he does not take, he looks him at very suspiciously. It could be a case of fraud, and then he ran away. When he came and discussed all these things to his wife looks very worried, because even his wife's name is Louisa. Even she knows that there are only 2 levels, so she becomes very disturbed. And then both of them, they come to a psychiatrist, Sam, who is in fact a friend of Charlie. Then Sam defines that Charlie has experienced all this thing because he is suffering from a disease called waking dream wish fulfillment, and that's only because he is not happy in his life in his modern time. And there's a lot more. And finally, in the end of the story, the psychiatrist friend, his friend, he said that he was suffering from the disease, but then he himself start taking interest in his story, and he is found missing, and he went back some 100 years to a place called Galesburg in Illinois, Galesburg, because sometime Charlie has discussed to Sam that in Galesburg the life is very cool, very calm. There is a lot of comfort, peaceful, and that's why he found missing. And sometime he receives a letter from Sam going back, because he went to that Galesburg, and he exchanged all his money with and he bought $800 of the old currency, and he settled and started doing a business of grain, feed and hay, because 100 years back there was nothing called counseling and psychiatrist. So that's a wonderful story. This is just a kind of introduction I am giving, but I want you to go and just find out and explore more about the story. That was the first story, the third level. In the story, in the sequence, the second story we have is Tiger King by Kalki. This is again very wonderful story. In the colonial time period, a prince is born, and the prince, the time when he is born in such a time, and when astrologers is called, since he was a prince, to make his all details that how his life is going to be when he was born, what was all the planets and all different things, how it was situated. So when the astrologer came, he announced that this boy is going to be the bravest of brave, sharpest, powerful, strong, intellectual, intelligent, all positive attributes he gave to the child. But then at last he said that there is only one threat to the life of this child, that is tiger. So, this prince's life would be in threat, and the reason for the death of the prince would be coming from a tiger, that too from the 100th tiger. And this boy, when he heard this, he was very small, only few days old. He said, he started speaking to the astrologer. He said that what is new, the one who is born will have to die one day. So, what new thing he has said? You tell me the manner how I would die. This small prince of few days, he is talking to the astrologer in this way. He said, ki if you can kill 100 tigers successfully, if you can kill 100 tigers successfully, so nothing could touch you and you would become a kind of immortal, you would never die. So, the prince said that, and what if I kill all the tigers and if I do not die? So, the astrologer said that I would stop this profession of being astrologer. So, the young prince announced that let the tigers be bewildered, I am going to kill them. And the rest of the story is hunting tigers more and more and more, and tigers, the number goes on increasing 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. The prince, when he grew up in the same manner as it was predicted. He became very powerful, very intelligent, very sharp. Everything came true. And when he was offered the crown, he stopped looking all other matters of the kingdom. He just concentrated and focused on killing the tigers. So, it's just introduction. I don't want to be the spoiler. I want you to read and find out what happens at last. Did tigers successfully killed 100 tigers, or the astrologer what he said, it was true. That was the second story, the Tiger King. The third story in the order is The Journey to the End of the Earth by Tishani Doshi. The Journey to the End of the Earth by Tishani Doshi. This is about Southern Hemisphere, Antarctica, South Pole. This is something, in reality it's like in modern world, and now one of the biggest challenge the world is facing is global warming, the climatic change, drought, flood, unseasonal things happening. So, this is very relevant under the modern scenario. The chapter is about South Pole, Antarctica. So, Tishani Doshi is a South Indian, she is from South India, and for somebody from South India and undertaking a journey to Antarctica, this is really a very brave act, because going there in South Pole Antarctica, there it remains 6 months continuous darkness, continuous night, and 6 months continuously it is day. It is so much the climatic condition. So, she has to travel a lot by plane and then train and the car, and finally she reaches there Antarctica. She travels not alone, she takes a number of students with herself, and this program is called Students on Ice. She takes a number of students, and the ship by which she goes, it is called Academic Sokolsky. It was a Russian built ship. Now, who sponsored, who organized this trip? Geoff Green, he was a Canadian, and earlier he used to arrange such trips for the billionaire, for the businessman, for the business tycoons. But then he stopped doing this, and he understood that students should be encouraged and students should be sent for such expedition, because they are the future's citizens. And that is how Tishani Doshi with a group of students came to this South Pole on Academic Sokolsky. The chapter is divided in 3 parts. First part is Earth history, second part is the human impact on Earth, and third part is walking on ice. First part is human, the history of Earth, second part is human impact on Earth, and third part is walking on ice. So, the first part is the Earth history, So, our earth some 400 million years ago, it was not the way it looks today. So, all the continents were a part of a single piece of land, it was called Gondwana, and it was situated right at the place where there is Antarctica now. It was a single piece of land, and those 5 to 100 million years ago, it was not that cold, it was not that all around ice, freezing temperature, and very less kind of species of animals and plants. It was very hot, it used to be very hot, and dinosaurs thrived that time. Dinosaurs were on the earth, and that time the human had not, there was no advent of human were not born that time. And this situation, it remained for a few million years ago, few millions, and then the changes, weather started changing, and then dinosaurs got extincted, and slowly this piece of land of Mars started getting separated, and this India, it started pushing this Asia, and that is how the Himalaya is born, and South America got drifted away, and it came in the shape of today as it is. This is the first part, history of the earth. The second part is human impact. All we know, this human, what they have done to this earth, this climatic change, what they are doing to this earth, these resources, to fulfill their requirements. They cut down the trees, they are playing with the natures and natural resources, and because of this we know what is happening. So, of all the threats that we are facing today, the one problem which is very threatening and very fatal, and which could wipe out the entire life from this planet, is global warming. It is happening because trees are being cut down, and the amount of carbon dioxide which is released by the fossil fuels and the human beings, that is not being consumed by the plants because they are less in number. As a result, in the atmosphere, the amount and percentage of carbon dioxide is increasing, and when the percentage of carbon dioxide increases in the atmosphere, it starts working like a glass house, which allows the sun rays to come, but it does not let the heat get back into the space. So, it starts absorbing the heat, and as a result, the temperature of the earth is rising day by day. And the world's 90%, more than 90% of the water or ice is in Antarctica. So, if the temperature is going to rise the same way, so you can understand, even if a small percentage of the ice is melted, which is in Antarctica, how the world is going to get submerged completely. There is another threat, so that the ecosystem of Antarctica is very simple. There is hardly few species of animals like the penguins, and the hardly few kind of animals are there, and the life is supported by the phytoplanktons, PGA, BJ, blue green algae, which absorbs the sun rays, manufactures the food through the process of photosynthesis, and that is how the entire food chain and food wave of Antarctica is supported. But since the ozone layer is getting affected, so entirely the ultraviolet rays are coming down, which is affecting the phytoplankton, and if the phytoplankton is affected, the entire ecosystem, food chain and food web of Antarctica is going to get affected. And there is a beautiful line, if you want to take care of small things, if you take care of small things, big things automatically fall in place. So, all we need to do, and it is also said, the first line of the chapter is, if you want to know the present, past and future of earth, go and visit Antarctica, because a small change in Antarctica will have a big impact on the rest of the world. And the last part is walking on the ice. So, riding the academic Sokalsky ship, this Tisha Dushani and the bunch of students, when the ship could not move any further, they got down on the frozen ice, and they started walking on the ice. So, walking on the ice is a difficult task. For that, they were geared with the different kinds of shoes, and they had goggles which would save their eyes sight from the sun rays getting reflected from this. So, that was the third chapter, journey to the end of the earth. In the order, the fourth chapter is The Enemy by Pearl S. Buck. enemy. It is a beautiful, all the chapters are beautiful. So I cannot say just one chapter, this enemy is beautiful. All the chapters given in this book are beautiful. The enemy chapter, writer is Paul Asbach. It is about two countries, involving two countries, America and Japan. And it's all we know that what happened during the Second World War. America dropped 2 atom bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And since that time, the relationship, the connections, the diplomatic understanding between two countries are, how it is known to all. The story is about making a choice and decision. So, it is about dilemma. The story is about Sadao, a Japanese doctor, a Japanese surgeon, a Japanese scientist. So, in his life, he comes to face a situation where he finds himself standing next to a POW, prisoner of war, and that prisoner of war was an American. So, see how it is tough it is going to be for Sadao, the Japanese doctor. He found himself standing next to a POW, prisoner of war, who was trying to escape, and in the process he was shot and he was badly injured, and if he did not get treatment he would die immediately. So, thinking there, standing there, he could not decide what to do. As being a true patriotic citizen of his country, he should immediately let the authority know about this POW who is an American, and if he is handed over, he is certainly going to die if he does not get treatment, medical assistance. And being a doctor, now he had to decide how he could let a person die even if that person is his enemy. So, that is a tough decision he has to make. Then finally, he decides to operate to save and treat this POW. He carries him to his home with the help of his wife, and he wants some kind of help from his servants and cook and gardener, but they denied. They also asked their owner, master Sadao, not to help, not to operate and not to treat him. In spite of that, the authorities should be informed, but then Sadao preferred, he chose to help and give the best of the treatment he could do. So, this is something very interesting to find. You need to find out what happens finally. Is Sadao declared a traitor, working against the interests of his country, helping enemy of his country, or really how the thing it is going to be? It is really very interesting to find. So, read the story to read more. So, the next chapter, 5th chapter is Should Wizard Hit Mommy by John Updike. Should Wizard Hit Mommy by John Updike. Though this chapter is deleted from the syllabus, but I always, as I say, it is a story like any other story. Until few years back, this chapter was also part of the story. So, whether it is deleted, whether it is in syllabus or not, read stories from anywhere. That will help you, because the main purpose of having literature, prescribing literature English book to the students is to help them have a good communication skill and to have a better writing skill and a creative writer and a good smart speaker. So, I am going to discuss the chapter. It is Should Wizard Hit Mommy by John Updike. The story is something very nice, a father telling a story to his daughter. Father is Jack, daughter is Joe. Daughter is some 4 years old, and father is in a habit of telling a story to his daughter every night. And of all the story he says to his daughter, the story line is very common. So, there is a creature named animal Roger. Roger has some problem. So, to come out of his problem, to get rid of his problem, he visits an owl. There is an owl. The owl suggests Roger that he should go to the wizard, and then Roger goes to wizard, and the wizard has a magic wand, and he helps to fix his problem, but in return he asks for some money, and this Roger does not have enough money that time, but at the same time wizard also tells him from where he could have those extra money, and he goes and finds out. This is the same story he keeps on telling Jack keeps on telling to Joe, his daughter, every night. So, same storyline. What is that story? There is a Roger animal. That animal has some problem. So, then he visits to an owl. Then owl suggests Roger to visit to a wizard. Wizard fixes the problem of the Roger, but in return asks for some money, and that money is always more than what Roger has. But then wizard also suggests him that from where he could have those extra money, and then this is the way it is solved. And then Roger's problem is solved. He starts playing with the other companion members of his of us. Now one day there is some slight change. One story here, the story which father says to Jack says to Joe is Roger's skunk. And Roger's skunk smells very badly, and for that reason nobody plays with him. So where would he go? He would go to the owl. It's common to all the stories. Owl suggests that you should go to the wizard. Then Roger skunk visits wizard, and wizard solves his problem, then asks for the money, which is less. And but then wizard also suggests him that from where he could have the extra money. He takes the extra money, and then finally he is made to smell like a beautiful flower, smell like a rose, and he becomes very happy. And then he starts. Then he is like other children, other people allow him to play with them, and is very happy. But when he gets back home, his mother is not happy. Roger's skunk mother is not happy because their smell was very particular to their community. So the mother takes back to Roger's skunk to the wizard and asks him to again make him smell bad, because that was the original smell. So that is how the title of the chapter comes. And here at this point of the story, who Joe is listening of Jack. So Joe says to Jack that wizard should hit mother, and why mother is insisting that Roger's skunk should again smell bad. So that's the story. This is the fifth story. Sixth story is On the Face of It by Suzanne Hill. On the Face of It. It's a beautiful and motivational story. The story is about two different characters. Mr. Lamb, who is a middle-aged person whose one of leg is blown off in an explosion, and there is a boy and Derek, and his half of the face is burnt with the acid. So the story is about two individuals. The story is about two individuals and their attitude towards life, how they have something in common and something very different. What is common? Even this boy Derek, half of side of his face is burnt in acid, and because of that reason he doesn't go outside. He remains confined at a home, because when he comes out, people look at him and they pass a lot of comments at his face, and that's why he doesn't go out. Whereas Mr. Lamb, whose one of his leg is blown off in the war, he manages his life. He has an orchard, fruit garden. He plucks his fruits, makes jams and jelly, and his garden is open for everybody, and that is how he survives. So one fine day, Derek comes out of his house and he happens to be in the garden of Mr. Lamb, and then there starts a beautiful conversation. That conversation is going to change the life of the small boy, and that you need to find what happened, what kind of conversation they had, how did finally Mr. Lamb change the life of this small boy who was very negative, and he became a very positive person. Seventh story is Ivan Tries at O-Level by Colin Dexter. This chapter is again, it's not in syllabus, but I would certainly discuss the chapter, and I want even students and everybody to read the chapter. Ivan Tries at O-Level. Ivan is a very smart guy. He is a prisoner serving his imprisonment in jail, and he decides to appear for O-Level exam. So he has a very bad record of deceiving people, and he had already escaped from the jail once. So the authority, when they heard that this Ivan wants to appear for an examination, they wanted to make sure that he was not using it as an excuse to again run away from the prison. but at the same time they could not deny him of appearing from the exam. So they made sure, they had all arrangements, they made sure that he would not get any chance to run away, but then he did. And it's not that he planned his way, because he was very smart and he had lot of associates within the jail, within the prison and outside the prison. So once he escapes from there, and then finally outside again he is caught, and then finally again he runs away from there. So all these things, how cleverly, how smartly, what was a master plan he makes, and what all it goes, I want you to find out yourself. And the last story is The Memories of Childhood by Jitkalasa and Bama. Jitkalasa and Bama, Memories of Childhood. This is autobiography. In this chapter there are two stories. First story is The Cutting of My Long Hair, which is actually the biography, autobiography of Jitkalasa, American, Indian American, native Indian American. And the second chapter is We Too Are Human Beings, is autobiography of Bama, who was a Dalit Indian from South India. So let us talk about the first chapter. The first chapter, both the chapters talks about the marginalized people from our society, the minorities, marginalized people. One, there is a cultural differences, and the other is a caste. So the first story is The Cutting of My Long Hair. So Bama, when she was very young, she was admitted to a school, and Bama comes from a Indian American society where there was trend, there was tradition of having long hair. But the school where she is admitted, there it is the system where most of the people are European, settled American, white people. So there in the school it was the custom to have short hair. So the day when she is admitted in the school, some other students surrounding her, they told her that you having long hair, your hair would be cut short. But then she protested that no, I would not allow to happen it, because in her society, in her community, in her place, having short hair was a sign of cowardice, coward people, mourners, losers, prisoners. They had long short hairs. So it was the first day in her school, and other students were dressed in a very tight fitting clothes. Again, she was not comfortable into this dress, and they were wearing a particular kind of shoes. All the students are taken into the mess dining room where they had breakfast, but there, since it was her first day, she did not know the norms and rules and instructions at what time what is to be done. So on what bell you need to pull out the chair, by what bell you need to sit down and start eating. So she got confused and she got messed with all these things. She was not enjoying her meal because she knew that after some time her hair would be cut short. So she left the dining hall before other students came, and he hid herself under a bed. But after some time all of the people came, they searched her, they found and pulled her out and forcefully cut her hair short in spite of her protest. The second story, We Too Are Human Beings, is about Bama, a Dalit South Indian. Now she is in the story, she is a small school girl, and the distance from a school to her house, if she goes straight way, it will take some 15 minutes and half an hour. But to cover the same distance, she takes a lot of time, 1 hour around. And why does it happen? It happens only because on her way from school to her house, it goes, the road passes from a market where a lot of things are on display. Many things are selling their things. So there is a crowded market. At one place some magician is showing something, at one place a cyclist is showing some magic, at one place some political gathering is there, at one place some flowers are being sold, some cookies are being sold. And since she is a small child, so at each of these places she stops for some time, and that is her, a lot of time is consumed and she takes a lot of time. This was the normal routine. But on that day, she noticed something very peculiar. She saw one elderly member of her area, of her community, of her area. That man was holding something, a packet. He was not directly holding the packet, he was holding the packet by a thread and he was carrying. Looking at this, Bama started laughing that why the man was carrying the packet in that way. When Bama observed that man, he found this man went up to a place where a man was sitting and all around him some agriculture work was getting carried out. It was threshing, from the grain were being taken out from the house. And he went to that person, he was the landlord, went to that person and handed over him. And when it was unwrapped, so there were some cookies and started eating. When Bama came, the same thing he narrated to her brother. And the brother started laughing, and then the brother said, there is nothing to laugh. All this thing happened because that man belonged to a lower caste and the landlord belonged to a upper caste. And they believed if this man touched the eatables with his hand, it would get spoilt. Bama as a child could not understand that how it is going to be by touching with the fingers, how the cookie is going to spoil. And then her brother suggested her that if you want to get respect, if you want that people should respect you, then start studying, because education is the only way which could earn you respect and position and honor in the society, irrespective of wherever you belong to. And the same thing she did. Bama studied a lot, and in her life she grew. She had grown up to be a big scholar, and she got all respect, and even breaking down the barrier of casteism and this untouchability. So today I have discussed the book Vistas, all 8 chapters in very short, very briefly. In the coming days I would be discussing, I would be taking the chapters individually. Please let me know in the comment box how did you like my narrating, and let me know which chapter you want to be that I should come out and make the individual chapters. Start reading the books so that you could be a good communicator. Jai Hind.